Welcome to our deep dive on European residency myths and realities. Today we will explore how regulations are tightening, why talent and real contribution matter more than ever, and what practical routes still exist. We will also address ancestry claims, political narratives, and the end of so-called golden passports. By the end, you will have a clear framework to assess your options responsibly. First, we will lay out the myths versus the realities. Next, we will discuss why talent trumps titles and what that means in practice. Then, we will examine ancestry limits, the myth of unwavering openness, and the end of golden passports. After that, we will consider alternatives and strategy, the political context, and a concrete action plan. Finally, we will test your knowledge with a short quiz and wrap up with key takeaways. Now let us set the context. Policy changes across Europe are accelerating, and assumptions that once held true may be obsolete. Understanding the evolving requirements can protect your resources and ensure you take legitimate and viable steps toward residency. With that in mind, let us move into the myths versus realities. To begin, we contrast common myths with reality. While Europe is often perceived as universally open, the truth is that policies differ by country and are changing rapidly. Distant ancestry is not a shortcut. Most countries require close links, typically a parent or grandparent. The notion that one can still buy status through investment is outdated, as many schemes have been curtailed or ended. Finally, political disagreement in your home country does not by itself qualify for asylum, as international protection is based on specific criteria and not general political dissatisfaction. With these myths clarified, we will now look at the most viable path: active, skilled contribution. This flowchart illustrates three core branches: skilled employment, education or research, and investment or business. The skilled employment path shows higher likelihood of success if you have a relevant job offer, recognize qualifications, and meet language and compliance requirements. Education and research routes can also be strong if admission to a recognized institution or program is obtained and funding is proven. The investment and business branch highlights increased scrutiny, due diligence, and potential caps or closures given regulatory changes. Decision points emphasize language requirements, proof of funds, and clean background checks. Now that we have the big picture, let us focus on why talent is the most resilient route. Next, we examine the idea that talent trumps title. European countries prioritize candidates who bring clear skills and economic value. Specializations in engineering, science, healthcare, and technology are particularly sought after. Concrete evidence, such as degrees, experience, and formal job offers, carries more weight than job titles alone. Demonstrating economic contribution through taxes, innovation, or job creation strengthens your case. Finally, consistently meeting compliance requirements, from background checks to insurance and timely filings, improves your prospects. With that established, let us compare active versus passive approaches. Now we compare active and passive approaches. Active paths involve employment, research roles, accredited education, or substantive entrepreneurship. They are backed by clear rules and labor market needs, and can scale toward permanent residences, though they are competitive and documentation intensive. Passive paths, such as distant ancestry claims or property-only schemes, may seem simpler but are increasingly limited, subject to high scrutiny, and in many cases have been closed or capped. With this contrast in mind, we will break down ancestry rules. Moving on, we address ancestry-based claims. Most countries require a close familial link, usually a parent or grandparent, with exact documentation that verifies the lineage. Records such as birth, marriage, and naturalization certificates must align without contradictions. There is no backdoor policy. Historical ties alone do not override present-day immigration criteria. Additionally, applicants should expect procedural delays for verification, translation, and apostille processes. Next, let us tackle the myth that Europe is uniformly open. Furthermore, Europe is not uniformly open. Policies vary by country and can change with limited notice. Security considerations have increased, and long-term residence applicants face heightened scrutiny. However, when migrants follow established legal processes, many countries remain receptive. With this foundation, let us unpack the end of so-called golden passports. Next, Investment-based schemes, once nicknamed golden passports, have been curtailed or closed in much of the European Union. What were once marketed as convenient mobility perks now trigger scrutiny. Due diligence standards are stringent, including source of funds verification and compliance audits. Moreover, changes can be implemented within months, drastically altering feasibility. Given these constraints, we will now look at pragmatic alternatives. To summarize options, this table compares common pathways. Skilled jobs require a degree, relevant experience, and employer sponsorship, with medium to high scrutiny and timelines from 6 to 18 months. Research or PhD routes depend on admission and funding, with medium scrutiny and longer timelines. Accredited study requires proof of funds and insurance, and typically takes 6 to 12 months. Startup or business visas demand a credible plan, capital, and hiring potential, facing high scrutiny. Investment-only options encounter very high scrutiny and many restrictions. Close ancestry claims require robust documentation and can take 6 to 24 months. Next, we will visualize how criteria are weighted. This pie chart offers an illustrative weighting of criteria. Skills and job offers at the largest share, followed by education and research, financial stability, compliance and background checks, language and integration, and a small portion for other factors. The actual weights vary by program and country, but the chart reinforces that active contribution and compliance carry the most influence. Building on this, let us discuss where to look if major hubs are out of reach. Additionally, alternatives within the European Union exist beyond the most expensive capitals. Several Eastern European cities offer solid infrastructure, growing industries, and lower living costs. Many hubs have strong English-speaking communities, easing initial integration. Aligning your profile with local skill shortages improves outcomes. Consider quality of life metrics, such as healthcare access, public transportation, and safety when making decisions. With geographic options in mind, we must also address political expectations. Meanwhile, it is important to separate political narratives from legal standards. Disliking domestic politics does not automatically qualify for asylum. Protection is granted under strict definitions. Immigration decisions often draw commentary at home, but policy outcomes are driven by economic value, compliance, and documented evidence. Focusing on objective criteria and strong documentation is essential. Now, let us convert this into a simple action plan. Next, here is a practical sequence. First, audit your profile, collecting skills, degrees, publications, and certifications. Second, map programs by shortlisting countries and visas matching your profile. Third, close gaps such as language proficiency, credential recognition, or targeted upskilling. Fourth, secure evidence, including contracts, references, bank statements, and insurance. Fifth, prepare a budget and realistic timeline, accounting for translations, apostilles, and legal costs. Finally, submit applications according to official guidance and comply with all deadlines. Before we continue, we will insert a short disclaimer. Before proceeding, a brief disclaimer. This content is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, tax, or immigration advice. Regulations change frequently and vary by jurisdiction. Always consult qualified professionals and official government sources for guidance specific to your situation. With that clarified, let us reinforce learning with a quick diagram. This mind map starts with the goal of European residency. It branches into active and passive categories. Active includes job offers, research or doctoral studies, accredited study programs, and startups. Each node lists requirements, expected scrutiny, and typical timelines. Passive includes close ancestry and investment, both subject to significant documentation and scrutiny. The diagram emphasizes that, under current conditions, active paths are generally more reliable for most applicants. Now, let us include a short Markdown recap for quick referencing. To consolidate information, here is a compact recap in Markdown style. We highlight the top realities, the immediate next steps, and a practical tip to track policy updates regularly. This quick reference can guide your planning. Next, we will explore how timing and policy shifts interact on a timeline. This timeline illustrates a general shift from 2018 through 2025. Initial gradual tightening gives way to pandemic-related border policies in 2020, followed by enhanced due diligence in 2021. From 2022 to 2023, many investment schemes faced regional and national crackdowns. In 2024 and 2025, accelerated reviews and program caps appear in multiple jurisdictions. Specific details vary by country, so consult current official sources.
With the policy arc in mind, let us test your understanding with a quick quiz.
Quiz time. The question is, which ancestry level is most commonly required for citizenship by descent in Europe? Your options are any ancestor in the family tree, great-great-grandparent, parent or grandparent, or second cousin.
You may pause the video now to think about the answer.
We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is parent or grandparent. Most European countries require a close, direct link, and claims based on distant ancestry are typically not accepted. Let us proceed to a second question, focused on feasible pathways. Our second question asks, given current trends, which pathway generally offers the most reliable route to EU residency? Your options are buying residential property only, skilled employment or research-based routes, posting political views online, or unverified investment with minimal presence. You may pause the video now to consider your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is skilled employment or research-based routes. Active contribution in the form of recognized work or research remains the most resilient and scalable path. Now, let us solidify the key points to remember. Here are the key takeaways. First, talent-led paths are generally stronger than passive routes. Second, ancestry claims require close links. Third, policies vary across countries and can change quickly. Fourth, golden schemes are largely restricted. Fifth, consider emerging hubs for pragmatic options. Finally, compliance and thorough documentation are essential.
To wrap up, we will summarize and give you a final call to action.
In summary, European residency systems reward genuine contribution, compliance, and clear documentation. Ancestry is limited to close ties, and political disagreement alone does not establish eligibility. You should strategize around your skills, maintain complete records, and set realistic timelines.
Remain agile by monitoring policy updates and diversifying viable options.
Finally, let us close with a creative request. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights. Share your questions and experiences in the comments, as your story might help others navigate their journey. See you in the next video.